Welcome everyone, and thank you for coming to SSWSO, which is a School of Social Work student organization, to our first in a series of roundtable events with faculty from the School of Social Work. My name is Claire Bergman, and I am a 5-year student here at Loyola and a board member of SSWSO. So tonight's topic is academic advising, and we will be asking questions by academic level. So we will be beginning with BSWs, continuing with the 5-year and transfer students, and then ending with MSW students. If you have any questions, please feel free to send them via the chat and I will relay them to our speakers. And then also the session is being recorded to all social work students. So if you would prefer to have your camera off, that is totally fine.
Yeah, and hello everybody. So I'm Elizabeth Juarez. So I'm a 2nd year MSW student, and I'm also a SSWSO board member. So we would like to begin. So we'll be introducing the faculty members who are joining us tonight. So first we have Jody Good. So she will be the BSW advisor. And we also have Jennifer Bernecker, the 5-year advisor and the assistant director of advising. And then we also have Veronica Ariola. She's one of the MSW advisors. Did I say your last name right? Cool. Okay. And so representing this from the School of Social Work, so we have Claire. And then we also, so she'll be asking the questions about like the BSW experience and the 5-year student experience. We also have Mary Herrera. So she'll be asking, will be representing the transfer students, and but she's also a board member of SSWSO. And so she'll be asking all the questions regarding transfer students. And I will ask on behalf of MSW students. So to start off, so we just have a couple of like general advising questions. And just one is, will the social work courses be online next semester, or are we going to be doing some sort of hybrid model?
Yes, so the courses for the spring will be fully online. And as far as summer, we don't know exactly yet. We do know we'll have a substantial amount of online courses. We're not sure yet if we'll be able to have face-to-face or hybrid courses. Hopefully the catalog will be loaded in Locus for everybody by January. Once I know the date that courses will be visible to students, we will send that out via the listserv so that you all know when you can expect to see that.
So when are the templates? Can you just give us like the deadlines for the templates for spring semester? And is that for like, does everybody have the same due date for that?
That's a good question. So templates were already due October 29th. If you haven't submitted it yet, that's okay. Please turn it in as soon as possible. I will be sending out an email to students that we haven't received them from yet by the end of this week. And students will receive a hold until we receive it. But as long as we get it prior to registration day, we're reviewing them as quickly as we can to make sure that students don't have a registration hold. So templates are required for all students that are MSW in the traditional program, in the 5-year program as well. For students in the evening and bilingual cohorts, it's not required since they're in a cohort model and they have a set list of classes that they take each semester. For BSWs, they're not required to submit a template. They have optional advising appointments, which we highly, highly recommend that all undergrads meet with Jody if they're juniors. We'll get to this in a little bit, but there was a bit of a curriculum change this year, so we'd like you to all meet with Jody if you can. But it's not required since undergraduate students do their 4-year planning through Loyola 101 or 201, and a lot of times they have a 4-year plan set up through 1st and 2nd year advising. So you can meet with us if you'd like, but it's not required that you turn in a template.
Mm-hmm. And so when is the last day to have an advising meeting, like prior to registration?
So we actually have ongoing appointments right now. My last appointment is on the 11th and Jennifer's last appointment is the 9th. So we have appointments still this week and next week. Jody, I don't know specifically when your appointments are.
I have lots of availability still next week. And my last appointment prior to registration is Friday the 13th. And then you can still make appointments with me, through the first week of registration. but I would recommend trying to do it before that.
Mhm. And then for our students who are on this call right now, I just put the appointment links in the chat for you. And then also, can one of you maybe talk about like what are the upcoming deadlines for declaring a specialization and for field placement?
Yes. So December 1st is a big date for declaring your specialization because that is the date that second level field placements are due. We encourage everyone to complete those as soon as possible if you can. Also, the deadlines for subspecializations are due on December 1st as well. If you are going to be pursuing a school specialization, we encourage you to actually complete your application sooner. The deadline for that was November 1st. If you do have any questions about the school specialization, we encourage you to contact Amy Greenberg. Obviously, the deadline did pass, but that is like the priority deadline. I know that she will still take applications all the way up till March.
And I'd just like to add, as far as specializations, that's for students that are going into their second level internship in the fall. So if you are not going into a second level internship in the fall, if you're going to be doing a spring to summer internship or summer block, your deadline for declaring a specialization is when your application is due.
Yeah, I think the summer block application is due on December 1st too.
And also, if you're a BSW, you don't have specializations for your BSW senior internship, so you don't need to worry about any sort of specialization or subspecialization. But your application is also due on December 1st for your internship if you plan to do your internship in this summer or in fall of 21.
All right, thank you for all that information. As we know, there have been a lot of changes this semester. So I know there was a specific one in the BSW program. So as we transition into talking about BSWs, Jody, if you could go ahead and just kind of clarify some of the changes to the integrative seminar course for upcoming juniors and seniors. I know you've sent out emails about social work 350 versus 361, but if you could go ahead and kind of explain that in more detail, that would be great.
Sure. So for seniors, if you are graduating in spring, summer, or fall of 21, you will be taking, almost all of you, I think I have maybe like a handful of exceptions, you will be taking 361 in the spring. The only exception for you is if you already took 350 for some reason, like if you did a summer block last summer and took 350 but haven't graduated yet, then you don't need to worry about any change. 361 is the old 350. So nothing in your program as a senior is changing other than the course number for your integrative seminar. You are always going to take an integrative seminar. It's just the course number that's changing because 350 is now going to be used for a new class for juniors and below. So I will be registering all seniors who need 361, so you don't even need to worry about that. If you don't see it in your schedule by the end of registration week, let me know. But I have a list and I'll be going through that and registering everyone. Juniors, if you plan on starting your senior sequence anytime next year, whether it's fall or spring, juniors need to take the new SOWK 350 this spring. That's going to prepare you for your senior year. So all juniors this spring, and even some sophomores who will be juniors in the fall, may want to take SOWK 350 this spring. So that's why I highly recommend meeting with me if you're a junior or close to being a junior, so that we can figure out if you need to take it, because most likely you do. Does that answer the question?
Yes. It's confusing, so that's why we wanted to clarify that. And I also had my advising appointment with Jody, so I definitely recommend doing it because she clarified all my questions. But also for seniors, is it too late to apply for graduation? I know that's a big thing, so how do we go about that?
It is not too late to apply for graduation. However, you will have a late fee because the technical deadline to apply through Locus already passed. So if you haven't applied for graduation and you're planning on graduating in spring or summer, you need to fill out a form and send that form to me. So just send me an email and I can send you the late graduation application. I sent it out a while back, but I can resend it if you just let me know that you haven't applied yet. I'll send you the application and then you'll have to also send a check for $30 to the bursar's office, which is the late fee.
Okay. And so many BSWs I know continue on to the 5-year program, such as myself. So we have a few questions regarding that. When can we expect to receive the 5-year intention form that is due on December 1st? I know there were some changes with the form itself, so if you could just kind of go over that.
So that should be in the next few weeks. I know that Jennifer is meeting with our graduate enrollment department tomorrow to make sure that the new form has everything on it that we want and that it works. So it's going to be very easy. It's not going to require any sort of recommendation letters or essays or anything like that. So it will be a quick thing to fill out. But I will send it well before December 1st. So it shouldn't be an issue.
Awesome. And also, when do we expect to hear back if our intention form, if we were accepted into the 5-year program?
That would be in January or February after Dr. Sokolek has looked at all applicants' grades. So she's looking to see that you have a cumulative GPA of a 3.0. And then in January or February, you'll receive an email. As long as you have that cumulative GPA 3.0, you will be conditionally admitted into the program pending your spring grades or summer, depending on when you're graduating.
Sounds good. And so I know we talked a little bit about templates in the beginning. So for the 5-year program, just to clarify that there is a requirement to complete a course template, and that does also clarify the sequence of courses that you take as well. Is that correct?
Yes. So when you apply for the 5-year program, you will declare a specialization, one of 5. It's schools, mental health, children and family, and leadership. And based on your specialization, you will have a template for that particular specialization that will show you all the classes that you will need to take for that specialization. And if you decide to subspecialize, there's a page of the template for that as well.
Okay. And then finally, for 5 years, how does the advising transition work from your senior year into that 5th year, which is considered really that MSW?
Jennifer, do you want to answer that one?
Sure. So we do one-on-one advising appointments for 5-year students as they're getting ready to come up into the program. So first, students would receive their acceptance letter from Dr. Sokolek. Following that, students would receive a welcome email with Jody with our advising dates and times. Usually we send that out following Dr. Sokolek's email, like around February, and we'll have appointments sometime February, March. And that's to prepare students for registration in April. So that they're set to register for fall classes. And usually what we do is we plan out the full year, since it traditionally students do half the classes in fall and half in spring. So we'll plan out the full year at that time.
Awesome. Thank you. Yeah, it's a fast turnaround with just having the 1 year. So it makes sense to do it all at once. So thank you for that clarification. And now we're gonna transfer over to our transfer student.
So speaking as a transfer student myself, when I first got to Loyola, I found that advising was a very unique experience. So as we have talked about before, there has been some confusion around which classes to take and at what point. And then some students have expressed that there is a disconnect between what Locus advises and what the social work website advises. Can you speak to that and if this is being fixed or not?
Yes, I'll answer the second part first. So Locus, we know that there were some inaccuracies last year in terms of prerequisites in Locus, and those are all currently being fixed. So hopefully when students are registering for spring, all the prerequisites will be correct. The templates that I send out to you to BSWs, because BSWs have templates as well, they're just not due. I fill them out for you in terms of where you are in your degree. And when we meet, we go over those, which is why it's always such a great idea to meet with me. All new transfer students do meet with me. So we do go over the sequence of courses at that time. There's no requirement to meet with me for every semester after that, but I definitely recommend it. So it's kind of like a puzzle and we can fit it together to make sure that you're graduating as soon as you possibly can, if that is your desire.
Well, that's the only question that I have right now. So right now, I think I'll pass it on to the MSW program.
All right. So thank you so much for answering all your questions from advising for BSW in 5 years and transfer students. So I'll be talking about the MSW experience. So I'm actually a second year. So mine are maybe a little bit more out there at the end. But I think this is maybe fits more with Veronica. So can you clarify? So we all have to fill out these templates practically like every semester. So can you clarify, like, who are we sending these to? Because the Sakai site says you need to email the template to a faculty member in your specialization. So is that still accurate?
Yes, so we encourage everyone to visit the Sakai site because all the information will be on there. So when you go onto the Sakai site, you will go to your specific specialization. And if you scroll all the way to the bottom, it will let you know who to send your template to. So if you have a subspecialization, it'll be somebody different than if you don't have a subspecialization. So it's very important that you look at that. For first year students and those students who are only completing 500 level courses, those templates are sent to their advisors. So myself, Tim, Jennifer also has a few. So yeah, it's important to always look at the Sakai site.
Okay. And then this is a little bit something else, whichever one wants to answer, but can we talk a little bit about like licensing? So I've heard that there is like a more rigorous process, I think, like in the final semester, but I haven't gone through that yet. So any information?
Sure. So typically we have a graduation and licensure meeting for students as they're finishing the program. This year, we're going to be doing that online. Most likely we'll be sending all graduates either access to pre-recorded videos and or a Sakai site. And so the information you're going to receive is going to be a video specific to the licensure process, step by step. We will attach the forms that you'll need to complete. There'll be one form called the Certification of Education form, which Loyola also needs to sign. So all students will get instructions on which pieces of that they fill out. They send that to us, we complete it, and then we mail that back to you. Last year, there was an amendment to the Clinical Social Work Practice Act beginning in January. And that was to allow students in Illinois in their last semester to be able to sit for their licensure exam without pre-approval. But unfortunately, we do not have new information to give as far as when that will be implemented. I do know that the NASW Illinois chapter has inquired with the social work board a few times about how they're going to comply with the new Illinois law. So we share in your frustration with that, and we'll continue to advocate for a resolution. So for now, students can expect that they'll be doing that paperwork as they're finishing the program. And once their degree is conferred, we'll be sending the form that you need for licensure back in the mail, and then you'll send that on to the ASWB.
And then, so the form that you're talking about, so we have a form that we need to complete, and then Loyola sends it to the state. Is that for the MSW, the LSW, or the LCSW?
Good question. So both. So when students are finishing the master's program, if you want to sit for the LSW exam, you'll fill out that form, and Loyola has to sign that. For the LCSW, first students have to acquire their 3,000 hours of clinical supervision before you're eligible. And then it's a similar process actually as far as the application, and a form that Loyola also has to sign.
So can you just clarify? So like for people like me, so when I graduate, I will get an MSW, and then I'd have to sit for an exam for the LSW?
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah, and so that's the video link that we'll be sending you, and then it will have instructions for the application itself, and then the form that Loyola needs to fill out, and we'll let you know when you need to send that in by, when Loyola will send it back to you, kind of like approximate time frame as far as when you'd hear back from the state and all that good stuff. So stay tuned for that. And then if you decide that you want to pursue your LCSW as an alumni, you'll do the same process. Usually it takes students a couple of years to earn their hours before they're able to submit the paperwork for that.
And then, so a lot of people always debate between the LSW and the LCSW. Like, what's the difference? And then is like one better than the other?
So I will say you don't have to sit for the LSW to be able to do the LCSW. So it's totally up to each individual student if they want to do that or not. Some jobs, you'll notice as you're applying will say, you know, LSW preferred. Some jobs it's required, and some it's not. So that's totally up to you. It depends, I guess, on your career path and whether or not it would be beneficial for you to have that if the jobs that you're going to be applying to are going to be preferring that or requiring that. So the does that answer your question?
Yes. Yeah, because I feel like a lot of people, at least for me, like when I started, the LCSW was like gold. And then it's like, oh, then later I heard about there was like another thing called an LSW. So I just like was wondering like if there was sort of one that's better over the other, but if it's like career specific, what is that? Okay. And then, so I was thinking about like graduation that's coming up for a lot of us. So like, can maybe like any of you talk about what we should be looking forward to, what we should expect and get ready for when we finish?
I would like to plug an event that we have coming up for graduates, really for all students. We have a networking and career fair each year, which this year it's going to be virtual. That will be March 25th from 3 to 6. And it'll give students a chance to, for networking, to some online interviews. We'll also be offering mock interviews throughout the month. So if students want to take advantage of that to get ready for their career search. Does anybody have anything to add?
Yeah, I would also encourage everyone to use the resources at the career services. They're great, and so if you're a student right now, you're paying for that, so it's important for you to utilize that. Have someone look at your resume, your cover letter. You can start doing mock interviews with them. The other thing is that we do offer a licensure prep course. The one for this semester already happened, but we are going to have one in the spring. So once that flyer goes out, if you're interested in that, feel free to sign up. There are other resources online, free resources as well, where you can actually prep. One thing that's very popular, it's called the MSW Pocket Prep. So you can download it. You can go to the Play Store or the Apple Store, and you can download it to your phone. So it's a really good way to kind of get get some of those questions that are going to be on the exam, so you can start, I guess, studying for that and prepping for that. There's a free version. So different things like that can help you if you are anxious about taking the exam. And I guess the other thing to me is make sure you network with your professors and network with your classmates, because at the end of the day, your classmates are going to be your colleagues later on. So it's really important to really start building those relationships now that you have that face time. So I would really take advantage of that. Same thing if you're in your internship. You know, those are the people that are going to be able to give you letters of recommendation. So, you know, really hone in on that, and don't minimize networking, because it is a very, very important tool, especially for social workers.
I want to mention one more thing. So as students graduate, they can keep their Loyola email active. I recommend that you do that. We have an alumni listserv that we manage, that we add all students to as they graduate. So any job leads that Loyola receives, we send out through that listserv. So it's a good idea to keep an eye on that as well.
And become part of the alumni board as well. And come back and give back to Loyola. Shameless plug.
Well, thank you. Yeah, that's a lot to think about. So as we're wrapping up, I just wanted to ask if maybe there was any questions or comments from our audience here.
I have not seen anything in the chat thus far. I guess one thing about graduation as well, do you have any advice for BSWs who may be approaching, applying for MSW programs, or maybe are not sure if they want to continue on with their MSW? Any advice with that?
I would say that you will have a lot more opportunities job-wise if you get the MSW. BSWs can't be licensed, as far as I know. Jennifer, correct me if I'm wrong, but you do need the MSW to get a license. And so that's just gonna, give you that much more opportunity in the job market.
Thank you. Any other comments or questions?
I wanted to plug one last thing. I don't know if we talked about this, but December 1st for MSWs, that's also your graduation application deadline. So December 1st is a big day. Put it on your calendar.
Yes, and if you're a summer grad, your application is due by February 1st.
Yeah, thank you so much. Yeah.
Oh, okay, yes. So thank you so much for everyone who joined us tonight. We would also like to thank our faculty members for lending us their time and answering our questions. Don't forget, we will be sharing the recording of this session on our social media. Be sure to follow us there for more information about upcoming events. Also, this was the first session in our series. The next roundtable will be about internships. So if you ever had questions or comments, be sure to attend that as well. The date is still to be determined. Thank you so much to everyone, and have a good night.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you
So much. Bye.